and that she knew where he was and that I could get the keys to his apartment when I was 18. I shouldn't have believed that, but I was little. So I'm like, okay. Well, actually, the first story was about this cop who put his hands on her, and then she left while she was pregnant with me. But then she talked about this other dude. She's like, I think it's this guy. Hi, Martin. So she tells me that story. Next time I bring it up, this is a couple years later, I'm like, so I get to visit him, and she's like, what are you talking about? That man is dead. You can't visit him. I'm like, what? So now I'm thinking that he's dead. I bring it up again, next couple years. She goes, I didn't tell you that he was dead. Where'd you get that from? He's going to die. He's going to be in prison for the rest of his life because he was touching little girls. So, story switched up again. Now, at this point, we had found the dude on Facebook, and we found his kids, which would be my siblings, right? I'm talking to them. A year goes by, and I'm talking to these people. I look like them, and we're planning on meeting up. Well, one day she asks me, what did I tell you about your father? And I'm like, you said that he's going to die in prison because he was touching little girls. And she's like, how dare you say that? Who's telling you that? She's like, you can't talk to these people anymore because they're probably telling you that. I'm like, Mom, you told me. She goes, that's not what I told you. But he is going to die in prison. He's going to be there for the rest of his life. Okay. That was a big argument between us. Anyways, years go by, and I'm knowing these people. I have siblings, right? I have a brother, and I got like 3 sisters, and then they all have kids. So I've got nieces and nephews. We meet up with them. We take a DNA test to make sure, right? We come back home, and my mom says that the DNA test, keep in mind, the man that we were talking about is in prison, right? So I'm not taking it with him. I took it with my brother. My mom says that the DNA test came out positive that they are my family. So I'm like, oh, cool. So now we know for sure, right? Couple of years pass by. My mom gets super drunk. And she's like, Lonnie, I gotta tell you something. And I'm like, what? And she's like, that DNA test that you took with your brother, it came back 99.9% positive that he is your father, not the man in prison. She says that she got into an argument with the man who's in prison when they were together and they were at a party, and she went into this hot tub with the man who was supposed to be my brother, and that's how I was conceived, right? So now, how old was it? That's a good question. He was a minor. He was a minor. Anyways, when they did the deed, you know? So now, my brother has turned into my father. My father's turned into my grandpa. My sisters have turned into my aunts. And my nieces and nephews have turned into my cousins. Everything. And this was after years of knowing them. I know. So, couple more years go by, right? This man, my brother, father, whoever the fuck he is, he's just, sucks at being a father, right? And I tell him, now keep in mind, this is after my mom passed away. She took this to her grave, by the way. I'm talking to him and I'm getting mad. I'm like, you never reach out to me. I wish that my father was that man in prison because at least he would have an excuse for not reaching out to me, right? And he goes, well, you're in luck because I'm not your father and it probably isn't him either. And I'm like, what? I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, yeah, that DNA test that you took, it was fake. It was fake. I was like, what? I was freaking out so bad that I got an ancestry DNA test. Now, these people also took an ancestry DNA test, and the thing about it is if you're related to them, they will pop up. Guess who didn't pop up? My family. So now, my brother who turned into my father is nobody. My father, who turned into my grandpa who's in prison, is nobody. All these other people, they aren't even related to me. So now I don't know who my father is, and I don't have my mom to question. But I was going through my mom's stuff, right? And I find this folder, and in the folder there's my birth card. You know, you get a birth card when you're born. Inside the birth card, there's 2 pictures of this dude. I'm putting the pieces together. I have a picture of my father. I don't know his name, but what I think is that he's the first man my mom told me about, the cop who put his hands on her. Because I asked her best friend, I said, do you know any stories? And she said, well, she told me about this cop. I said, she told me about a cop too.